welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Noah, and this video is all about how I intend on bringing back the middle class. I hope you'll find the information in this video both interesting and valuable. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So before I go and pull up Excel as I usually do, I kind of wanted to share just a little bit of the background that I had when creating this video and when deciding why I wanted to make this video. So a little bit of the background as to why I wanted to make a video like this. I've seen a lot of interesting media lately surrounding the topic of this shrinking middle class that we see here in the United States. And this is something that really resonated with me because I'm in this point really in my life right now where, work is really a priority, right? So you're trying to build yourself up as much as you can to try to get to, your plateau, and you kind of do things from there. So it's relevant, right? I want to ensure that the middle class is healthy because generally speaking, in my personal opinion at least, when you have a weak middle class and you have this very strong divide amongst economic classes, the economy just tends to be relatively unstable. So I thought that this would be a genuinely good topic for a video, and I was relatively interested in the topic as well. So of course, before kind of getting into videos, I always like to do a little bit of research to see what has been said about a topic, from different outlets, different individuals, and so on. And I came across this relatively interesting piece of research by the Pew Research Center that was basically looking at exactly what I was looking for, right? Which is the percentage of individuals here in the United States and their respective income classes, right? So lower income, middle income, and upper income. And they were actually comparing data from 1971 all the way to 2021, a whole 50 years of data. So just for reference, this is where I pulled the data that I'm going to use for my video here. So now let's jump into Excel so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so as always, here we are in Excel again, and I have basically the same information that the Pew Research Center visualized for us in just a second ago, except I have it set up a little bit differently. So at the top, let's start at the top. I have numbers 1 through 100 chronologically, and these numbers, 1 all the way to 100, are essentially representing a percentage of the entire United States population. So 1 is going to be 1%, 2 is 2%, and 100 is 100% of the population. And similarly to how the Pew Research Center visualized it, I wanted to kind of separate each of the numbers to showcase what percentage of individuals here in the United States were part of each of these economic classes. So in 1971, right here, the lower class had 25 boxes, right? So they had 25% of the overall population were considered lower class. And as far as middle class goes for 1971, it is going to be 61 boxes, so 61% of the population was considered middle class. And this is really good, right? We generally want, or at least in my personal opinion, we want the middle class to be very big, right? We want the outskirts, so the upper, the upper individuals for as far as income goes, and the lower levels for income to be very small, and we want a lot of people that fall within this middle class, because the middle class is the gears that make this machine go, right? They're the ones working the most hours, they're the ones spending the most money, and they really move an economy throughout time. And following the middle class in 1971 is the upper class, and they had 14%, right? So 14 boxes. 14% of the population was considered to be, in this upper class. Now we fast forward to 2021, right? So down here, and you can maybe instantly see if you've kind of gotten ahead how things are different, but I'm just going to explain it here briefly. So as far as the lower class goes, we went from 25 boxes, so 25%, to 29%. And you can see that, right? You can see that the lower class, if you're looking at just the color here, and that's why I put green as the color, is a little bit bigger, right? So clearly the lower class people, the percentage of individuals that are classified as lower class increased over this 50-year period. Now, if we move to the middle class, now we're at 50 boxes, right? So 50% of the population in 2021 are now considered middle class. So this is clearly indicating a shrinkage of over 10%, right? 11% down from what it was in 1971. As far as upper class goes, it did increase from 14% to 21%. So this is clearly indicating what everybody, economists and so on, are talking about, where in the last 50 years in this case, we're seeing this opposite and opposed effect, right? Where the lower class is increasing, the upper class is increasing, but the middle class is, slowly but surely decreasing. And as I previously mentioned, the middle class, the majority of individuals, millions and millions of families, millions of individuals constitute the middle class. And you want a healthy, strong, stable middle class for an economy to function properly, for people to be happy, people to have things that they earned and worked for, and so on. And clearly, that's just not the case right here. So the outcome that I think a lot of people, including myself, fear is what we're looking at right here, where the lower class right here has a huge amount of the population. In this example, right, I didn't estimate or anything, I'm just using a visual, but there's 65 boxes here classified as lower class, meaning 65% of the population could potentially be considered lower class. And then conversely, upper class would be made up of 35% of the general population. So there's multiple things that are a little bit scary and unsettling about an outcome like this, and I'm going to go over those right now. So the first thing that I see as problematic, if not unsettling, in this example is that, generally speaking, we know that individuals that are classified as lower class have less opportunity to nice things. They are less safe. When things go wrong, they can't afford them. They are not able to build up long-term wealth, even for themselves, right? Let alone their trying to get things going for their family members, for their kids, and so on. And generally speaking, they're more unhappy, right? And despite what people say, money does equate to happiness. It's only to a certain extent, right? So it'll taper off, meaning that more money on someone who makes $100 million a year isn't going to equate to any more happiness. It's going to cap off at some point. But this is kind of the reality, at least in my personal opinion, of individuals that are kind of classified as lower class. Life is very difficult. It's check to check. It's stressful. And at the end of your life, you may go out of this world relatively unsatiated. The other issue here, like I said, is that you have 35% in this example that I'm sharing here as upper class, basically controlling everything, right? And this is generally the case even right now. People with money, they have get out of jail free cards. They have immense influence, on decisions that happen in communities, in government, and so on. So what we have is 35% of the population controlling 65% of the population. And we know that, like I said, lower class individuals is really hard to kind of move from class to class already. Now we're completely eliminating a middle class. So you're either going to be considered, well off, or basically check to check, nothing in between. The third and final reason I'm going to share with you right now why I believe this is substantially, this is a big deal, right? This is a big deal, at least for me, is that generally speaking, I think individuals and families that are now considered lower class are just generally unhappier, right? They're unhappy with life, on outcomes, on where they're at currently with other people. I think it leads to conflict. I think it leads to generally just an unstable economy, right? You've got crime that'll go. I mean, it'll be chaos, right? So I think that is something where having a strong middle class really supports a healthy economy, right? Because you've got people that are able to work for things that they want. They're able to work hard, to get their happiness for their family, for themselves, and so on. But if you have 65%, 70%, whatever it ends up being, classified as lower class, it is going to be a very tough time here in the United States. So now that you have a little bit of background on what people are saying, what people are talking about as far as the shrinking middle class goes, and as well as some of my personal opinions on what it might lead to and so on, I want to get into my plan personally for how I want to restore the middle class. So the main way that I like to think about problems like this is, well, we have 50 years of data to support that the middle class is shrinking, right? So we can kind of look to see what has happened, what has transpired in the last 50 years as far as, the general populace goes financially. And I think it's fair to say that, credit card debt has gone up. Wages really have not. They've gone up, but not really following inflation, which has been pretty crazy in the last 3 years or so. Home price is another thing that has changed as well. So the buy-in, the opportunity cost to get into owning an asset, owning your own land, owning your own property has changed in the last 20 or 30 years as well. Essentially, for median individuals, it's becoming more and more difficult to buy your everyday home. So knowing these few pieces of information, I think it's fair to say that theoretically, perhaps, if we were to do the opposite of what we have been doing as normal consumers, right, the middle class, in the last 50 years, if we would do the opposite of that, perhaps it would change the tide and restore, the middle class that has been lost. And of course, you're welcome to kind of develop your own strategy on how we can strengthen the middle class. But as far as my opinions go, I think one of the most important things that people that are in the middle class, which is, well, I mean, it's shrinking now, but there's a lot of people still in this boat can do, is get on a financial plan that's actually going to be conducive to long-term financial success. And this obviously is easier said than done, but what's important to acknowledge is that it's going to come with sacrifices. Like anything in life, there are going to be sacrifices. And generally speaking, from working with individuals, working with clients, working with friends and family, and so on, I can say that a lot of the financial fat, right, the fat expenses need to be trimmed from people's budgets. I think this is huge, right? I think personally, people are buying things that they just don't need, right? That sometimes no one needs. That reminds me of the scene from The Office where Michael's got two magic sets that are exactly the same for some reason, right? Why does anybody need that? And this is the same for normal individuals. There are some when I'm working with clients and we're talking about different expenses and I'm probing, right? I'm asking them, what was this for? What do you do with this? What is this? What is that? A lot of times the answers are, well, I don't really know. I just kind of got it to get it and I just have it now, right? So not only are you taking up more space in your apartment or home, but you have something that you don't need that you spent money on that could have been used to start building your wealth for the long term. So simply put, I think this point can be, focus in on the essentials. Make sure that your essentials, your student debt, any other debt, your rent, your food, those are all paid for, and then responsibly budgeting out for fun expenses, because I'm not a fan of cutting out fun or entertainment by any means. If you do that, you're going to be relatively unhappy. But I think it needs to be I think it needs to be seldom at best. I think a lot of people have probably a little bit too much fun, at least from the individuals that I've worked with, where their entertainment expenses just don't need to be that high, right? A lot of that money, you could go on one quality trip versus, 5 mediocre trips with your friends per year. Take the money that you save in that and put it into a saving account, putting it into, your 401k, putting it into your investment account, whatever it may be. The other way that I think I intend on practicing in order to restore this middle class is by really getting serious with building wealth outside of, a simple 401k or Roth IRA account. Don't get me wrong, these are good ways to build wealth for your retirement, and I think they're absolutely essential. But the thing that separates very wealthy individuals from normal individuals is that the wealthy individuals own assets, right? They own houses, they own properties, they own things that they can make money off of. And I've talked about this in a previous video where it's getting harder and harder to get into property ownership based on the median salaries that we're going to see out in the public today. But what I intend on doing is getting extremely serious with ensuring that I can put away enough money to get into owning an asset, right? In my case, I want to build my own home. So that is what I'm working towards right now. And inevitably, I'm hoping that that will be a good long-term investment as well. So I think it comes down to two main points as far as what I think people should be practicing in order to restore the middle class to what it once was. So I think it comes down to two main things as to how I believe what we need to practice in order to restore the middle class to what it used to be. The first one is, like I said, just cutting out stuff that you don't need. So many people, and I've made this mistake, obviously no one's perfect, where you just buy stuff that you really don't need. It's money that's not well spent. You don't end up using it, or it's a cheap it's a cheap product, so it breaks. And I've talked about this in other videos as well, where you want to buy for the long run, right? Get the quality thing, spend a little bit more on it, but make sure that you have it for years to come. Making sure that your essential expenses are taken care of first, and that includes, in my opinion, putting money into your 401k, Roth, and savings. I think those should be absolutely essential to consider before planning a trip to Mexico, right? Before planning an excursion to Vegas or something like that. And then on top of that, I think thinking when you put yourself in a long-term mindset, so think about what kind of house you want, what kind of property you want, and then making sure that you're putting money away to get to that goal. In my case, I want to build my own house, right? So I want to do the design. I don't want to do everything. So that is what I'm working towards right now. I have the land. I need to make sure that I have enough money to throw at this project. But ideally, at the end of the road, when everything's said and done in 30 years, whatever it is, this will be an asset that I could sell, take the money from. I could give it to a kid if I decide to have any, and then they can, have a head start on life, whatever it may be. But these are the kind of things that I personally believe more individuals need to start thinking about and practicing in order to restore the middle class. But of course, I want to hear from you as well. What do you personally think of different practices that normal individuals can do to restore the middle class to what it used to be, if not make it even stronger? Please let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. At this point in the video, I would usually, give my outro plugging my financial service, but I did want to give a quick update on that. Moving forward within, my videos here on my YouTube channel, I'm not going to be plugging that service. I haven't stopped providing it by any means, but it's not something that I want to spend too much more time on, because I'm taking on a relatively larger endeavor that I think is going to help more people quickly than I can. So that's kind of what I'm going to put a lot of my time into moving forward. But of course, if you've made it this far in the video, I want to thank you so much for your time. Of course, I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed today's video and you were able to take something away from it as well. With all of that being said, thank you so much for tuning in today. And of course, happy financing.